on this computer. Okay, so what I wanted to cover this evening were just some actions that I know you have to do, being in this space for many, many moons, that make a big difference. And I want to give you some explanation for why I know these things work and hopefully address any concerns you've got. So you can put in the chat, as I said, I'll look at it periodically, but certainly at the end, get back to ask any specific questions you have, because I hear all the time, can't find information on this topic. And there is a lot, a lot. So we're going to talk about how menopause is diagnosed or how it's picked up, some treatment options. I want to cover off some foods because food, to me, this is a natural time. There are foods that definitely assist your hormones and make you feel better. There are some exercises that I'd love you to stop doing, particularly if you're going through menopause at the moment or symptomatic, and why having a positive mindset or a successful mindset during this time is absolutely critical. And a lot of people don't have it. So just want to talk about that a little bit more. Now, at the end, I'm going to share with you my number one secret, how I got through menopause myself in a couple of weeks. So for those who don't know, haven't come across me before, I started nursing back at the Royal Hobart in 1987. Seems like forever ago. Well, it was. Had 9 years in pharmaceuticals. And then it's been 23 years now, I've had my own business in natural medicine. So qualified, have a bachelor in health science, specialised in naturopathy, herbal medicine, and nutrition. There are actually three separate degrees, and that's on top of my nursing and pharma. In about 2010, and if you ever get to watch my flat stomach masterclass, I talk about the story there. But I wrote my first book in the hormone series, and that was called Beauty and the Beast Within, about the hormone changes that make women wild. That was after I had what I affectionately called a little hormone meltdown, which resulted in me leaving a marriage and, on this journey about hormones, because hormones back in that time weren't really well discussed, fleshed out. Now things are changing, but there's still a lot of misinformation around there. And women really are corralled into the only option they have are drugs, which is just not the truth. It's just not true. So that book on the left, bestseller over and over and over again. The one on the right, also a bestseller. And both of those, and now I've got 8 in the series, have seen me on TV multiple times, newspapers, podcasts, my own podcast show as well, you name it. 3 kids, and I've got a dog. These are my 3 kids down the bottom left there. That was last March. And these are the books. So there's various topics there. I do a lot of work with women around the world, and I've spent a lot of time in developing countries looking at tribal and traditional methods and herbs and things that people have done, particularly women, when it comes to managing their own health and raising children. I just find it really fascinating. Just some of those interviews over the years, Channel 9, Channel 7, etc. Now, let's get down to menopause. So when I was 47, which is 8 years ago now, I went through a change of life. I started waking up with these flushes, and I was talking to someone about the other day. They said, oh, how did these flushes, if you haven't got them, and you can pop in the chat if you do, they are awful. They kind of come on, it feels like instantaneously while simultaneously choking you. Like you feel there's this surge and anxiety, it all kicks in at once. Now, they're quite disconcerting, but I actually thought I had a virus. I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I don't know, I just thought 47, I was too young. But 45 to 55 is actually considered the average time, the typical time that a woman would go through menopause. So probably about the 6th night, I thought, oh, this is a bit odd. What's going on? And then I'm like, oh, God, I haven't had a period. Wow. And it was a real kind of a catch up for me, because even though I talk about hormones every day, I certainly didn't think it was going to happen to me. It sounds a bit crazy, I know, but anyway. Once I put all the pieces together, no period, bit of a giveaway, dry skin, flushes, and my body was aching. My shins were really sore, and I'd started to put on weight. And a lot of people will tell you that it starts to go on in the early 40s. Pop in the chat if that's been an issue for you. Anyone who's struggled with the weight gain, pop it in the chat. Very common, unfortunately, if you have. Menopause spread, it's often called. Yep, says Kerry, and yes. So anyway, it finally worked out. Yes, I was going through menopause. Once I knew that, once I had that information, the rest was pretty simple. So I twiddled some foods around. I changed what I was doing for exercise. I made this decision to make health my number one priority above and beyond everything else. Because you can see my kids there, they were pretty young. And I thought if I can't look after them, if I'm really tired, then they're going to get the worst of me, and that's not fair on them. I took it on board, and I hear it all the time. Oh, I'm too tired to do this and that. And I say to women, are you? Like if you can't do it for yourself, do it for people around you. And that might be making some health changes. It might mean exercising when you're not exercising. It might mean giving up some sugar or changing foods, which we'll go into, or spending some money on a hair test or something. Because most people, most women I talk to will do it for others, but not themselves. And I just kind of go now, well, I had 3 young kids that I was accountable to. I didn't want them to go through menopause with me. That was on me. So that's how I approached it. And when I got my head around it, it took me 6 to 8 weeks to go through all those horrendous symptoms. Now, menopause is actually 12 months since your last period. That's the technical name for it. Now, advice. There's lots of free advice out there. And it's a pretty noisy market at the moment for menopause. Most women are being told that they're broken, that menopause is a disease, that they need a drug to fix it. Well, I am here to tell you that I just totally disagree with that. I think it's a natural time and you're not broken. Your hormones are just in balance if you've got symptoms. I have a real problem with, Instagram in so much as you can be as expert on there just because you've got a great page, but you might not have the qualifications. You may have not even had a child, but you're advising women who have had multiple children who are going through menopause what to do. It just doesn't make sense to me. And I have over the years listening to men and how they go, oh, well, your uterus has done its time. We'll just whip it out. I think, my God, if it was a male issue, they wouldn't be so quick to chop and cut, if you know what I mean. So this is a false belief. Your mum didn't have symptoms, you're going to be okay. That's not true. Whatever was happening 20, 30 years ago is quite different to now. Another false belief. I'm not making hormones. I need HRT. That is not true. You are making hormones. You're just either not making enough or you're making too many of some. Another belief I hear regularly, you can't control the symptoms, you just have to go along with it. Everyone is different. Well, you can control your symptoms. You don't have to go along with it. You can make a real difference and you can do some of the stuff I'm going to teach you tonight. You can just start doing it. I'm going to give you so much information that I want you to come off here feeling like, I've got this, I can do this. And not only can you do it, I want you to talk to your girlfriends. I want you to become the shining beacon. So this folklore that us girls have gets spread. So really want to impress upon that if you're going through menopause, you're not broken. It's not a disease. It just means if you've got symptoms, you're not balanced at the moment, okay? So that I'd love you to feel relief on. Hope is here. Hope is right here, right now. And everything can be managed once you have some more information. So menopause is a natural transition. It's a time when the sex hormones that were produced by the eggs, which we flick every month, which is why if it's not fertilized, you have a period, flush it out. But the eggs produce a couple of hormones, progesterone and estrogen. Once all those eggs are hatched, there's actually not a lot being produced from those eggs, but the body's so clever. It starts manufacturing those very critical hormones from another part in your body called the adrenals. So remember, any symptoms, it just means that your adrenals aren't keeping up. So just to recap, bit of biology, female reproductive system, we've got, usually most people have 2 ovaries, 2 fallopian tubes, 1 uterus. When we are conceived, um, our eggs are finite. They're already laid down. They will take it in turns each month through stimulation from the pituitary gland, which is called the pituitary gland. It uses a hormone called FSH. Now you can write that one down if you wanted to. So FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, goes from the pituitary gland, which is in your brain, down to an ovary and says, hey, get an egg ready. Off it goes. And it takes it in turns. So ovaries, your left ovary will only do it every 2 months. Right ovary the other 2 months. So they take it in turns. When that egg is hatched, usually travels down the fallopian tube. If it doesn't collide with sperm, it'll start to just kind of naturally die away. After 7 days, the hormone levels that it was producing, which was in order to get the body, I guess, ripe for a pregnancy, drop off. So does that, and we shed. We have a menses or a period. No more eggs, no more periods, and then the adrenal glands take over. Now we've got two adrenal glands that sit on top of our kidneys. So if you want to reach behind you now, feel where the bottom of your ribs finish up. Just put your hands there, the bottom of your rib cage with your hands behind your back. That's where your adrenal glands sit. Darling little things. They're tiny. They're probably the size of your little fingernail bed, and they do so much. They produce all these hormones. So they produce aldosterone, the corticosteroids, cortisol, you might have heard of. It's a hormone I measure regularly with clients to see what their stress levels are doing. They make androgens, estrogen and testosterones. They make catecholamines, all your stress hormones. Epinephrine and norepinephrine in Australia are called adrenaline and noradrenaline. But they're your big stress hormones produced by these tiny little glands and your peptides, your somatostatin and substance P. So they make an incredible amount of hormones. Just imagine that you're super stressed and all your effort from the adrenals is going into the epinephrine and norepinephrine, or adrenaline, noradrenaline. We're probably going to be a little bit low on these other hormones and your ability to make testosterone or estrogen, down this pathway, we make progesterone. So this is what I see typically. Burnout in menopausal women is rife, and they struggle to make the adequate sex hormones, estrogen, testosterone, progesterone. I actually rate or classify testosterone more as an adrenal hormone in women. And that's just from my findings over the years, finding that when we're stressed as women, testosterone goes up. It's very dynamic. Whereas when we're stressed, estrogen doesn't go up, nor does progesterone. Okay, so if you want to know if you're going through menopause, apart from, periods every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, changing symptoms, flushing, memory loss, weight gain, low energy, broken sleep, sounds fabulous, doesn't it? Apart from that, you're probably going to be in the ages between 45 and 55. Now, I have had plenty of women who are 57, 58, still having occasional periods, and similarly, I've had ladies who are 42 who've gone through menopause. So there is a wide range, but generally it's 45 to 55. On a blood test, you can accurately measure follicle stimulating hormone. Now that's the one that I was mentioning before, goes from the pituitary down to the ovary. As the ovary is less responsive, that FSH rises. So you'll see a rising FSH on blood test. But if you want to measure those hormones that I was talking about, those super important ones, your estrogen, progesterone, DHEA, testosterone, cortisol, saliva testing is considered gold standard. So that's all I do. I only do saliva testing, not blood testing. I had point in case I had someone before this webinar tonight who had been tested. I'll just make sure. Sorry, I just want to check that no one's waiting in there. Had been tested for his testosterone. Blood test showed it was normal. Saliva test showed it was non-existent. And just like, dude, it was the wrong test. So this is what I do every day is look at saliva results and work with people to kind of mend them up. You can see here this cortisol, so if you haven't seen one before, this cortisol very low. Cortisol should be 20, 24. Progesterone should be 800. This person was flushing. Testosterone's a bit high. These are imbalanced, well, not imbalanced. They're going to be feeling very low in energy and flushing. So common menopause complaints, and you might know some of these yourself. Waking up feeling just flogged, exhausted. Sleep can be really distressing because you don't just half wake up, you fully wake up. People tell me that, their husband's going to go through menopause with them, and that is true. The belly fat is frustrating, no doubt about it. And it's difficult to lose. I do specific webinars just on how you can shift that weight because it's worthy of a conversation. And women feel like this, they just feel like they're racing on the spot. So common symptoms, and as I mentioned before, flushes are very predominant. Statistics say that 60 to 80% of women going through menopause have symptoms. So 6 in 10 to 8 in 10 women going through menopause, a change of life, a natural time in their life in Australia, are having symptoms. It's too much. Our hormones are out. The solution isn't everyone races to the GP and gets drugs for a natural time. Maybe we stop doing less or change our foods first. Anything that happens between the ages of 45 and 55 that's a new phenomena, I usually say, think of your hormones. Go and measure them first. So it's a natural transitional time when your adrenal glands start producing those hormones that your eggs used to make. Now, estrogen, lovely hormone when it's in balance, bit of a nightmare when it's not. So when we're making too much of it, and that can happen during menopause. So my experience over doing this for now 23 years is probably 40% of women will increase their estrogen, 30% might normalize it, and where are we at? 30% drop it. But interesting, high estrogen, low estrogen causes flushes. So you can't guess this stuff. And if you're doing the wrong test or blood test, you can get it radically wrong, and you don't want to be doing that. High estrogen, weight, cellulite, weight that won't move, mood swings. I've got tissues there because laughing 1 minute, crying the next. A head full of self-doubt. And I can tell once I start getting over texting or way too many emails, I go, oh my goodness, they possibly have high estrogen. Like making things complicated when they don't need to be is often, kind of high estrogen sort of trait. Now, low estrogen can be equally as disconcerting. It definitely balances our moods and can make us feel high with anxiety if it's low, broken sleep, dry vagina, and those lovely flushes. Well, they're not lovely. I'm being quite facetious. You can see here, this person has very high estrogen, very low progesterone. Now, this combination I do not like seeing. In my experience over the years, breast cancer, cervical cancer, ovarian cancer, endometrial cancer will often have low progesterone, high estrogen as key features. Really nasty combo. Every woman needs to know what their saliva is doing. And look, they've got high cortisol. With testosterone, commonly it will drop during menopause, not always, but commonly. And when it does drop, that's that low energy, that fatigue, just have no competitive edge. Like women just kind of go, I just can't be bothered. And that's low testosterone, low sex drive. Here's an example of this person, interesting, was just pushing through, but her testosterone was at 40, really low. I would say, looking at these results, high-ish cortisol, low-ish DHEA, low-ish testosterone, a bit wired, but tired. Progesterone, it commonly drops. I had someone maybe a couple of weeks ago that actually I had like 3 in a week, high progesterone or normal progesterone. I mean, it's just so unusual. Usually women will drop their progesterone, particularly if they're busy, burnt out, etc. So that will also cause flushes, low sex drive, dry skin, that kind of low, lackluster sort of feeling. Progesterone soars when we're pregnant, like just goes through the roof. And a lot of women will say, I felt fantastic when I was pregnant. And that's what they're saying is, I feel fantastic when I've got good progesterone levels. So a beautiful hormone. You can see here, should be about 800, rock bottom. am very high cortisol again. Once you get these hormones right, menopause is a breeze. Your temperature control goes back to normal. You feel fantastic. You've got lots of energy. You feel sexy in your body. If you never felt sexy before, then that might need some work. But you can be happy, energetic, really balanced, and not need any drugs at all. But let's look at these drugs. The big narrative at the moment is women are broken, they need HRT. And you'll hear me push back on it because if I don't, who will? Like it's just not, there are other ways around it. Hormone replacements are generally synthetic, but it's no different to someone taking the pill. The pill is a hormone replacement therapy as such. Bioidenticals are meant to be more natural, but both of them, in both instances, you're giving your body an external hormone. So the body's got a feedback mechanism called biofeedback. And once you start giving it the hormones, it goes, well, I'm producing those hormones. So it never is prompted to do it itself. And you become very reliant on those drugs, natural or otherwise. Now, my preference, this is just the way I manage menopause. If women, after they've done a saliva test or their hair test, we bring those things back into balance using natural herbals, managing lifestyle, different exercises and food. So let's get into it. Have those pens ready. So you definitely can knock years off this average, which is meant to be 5 to 10 years at the moment. Like it just doesn't need to be like that. And I can say with encouragement that not just the people I've helped over the years, but also friends and some people just stop having periods. That's it. They're done with menopause. They're just like that. Now, Marie was someone who came and saw me back in 2016. She did have a bit of a rough patch. This is her on the left and 6 weeks later on the right. So Marie heard me speak in Brisbane, and these are her words. She goes, I knew my body was a mess, and menopause had got a hold of me in a not so nice way. My weight was a great burden for me in a way that was holding me back from performing to my full potential. Business, family life were a struggle, and I knew my body was not how it should be functioning, and I understood that menopause and the symptoms I had were most contributing factors to me not feeling well, being overweight, and at times so over it, all she wanted to do was sleep. She was quite depressed, you know. She didn't want to exercise, she had no energy, days of lying on the lounge, wondering when it would all end. Seeing my friends and partner look at me differently and reading their eyes and telling me, you just look horrible. And I had to do something, and Sam was found. So she saw me, she came down and saw me. Within a few consultations, and by the way, I don't do face-to-face anymore. I use Zoom. So easily, even when I was based on the Gold Coast, 80-90% of my clients, New Zealand, rural Australia, everywhere. It's kind of cool. But yeah, so this is back to Marie. Within a few consultations, Sam managed to address exactly what I needed to do, enabled to achieve what was important to me. She lost weight, and I'll show you the befores and after. And really what we did was tweak her food. And I said to her, I didn't want her to exercise because she was a bit burnt out, but she just started to want to exercise after a week. Back then, I was an unhappy, lethargic, overweight, menopausal woman. Today, I'm very happy, energetic woman, loving life, and love reading new eyes that look at me now. I love Sam as much as I love life. She's been my help and continues to help and support where needed. So years on, I'll hear from her probably once a year, once every 2 years. But that was the difference of balanced hormones on the right versus unbalanced on the left. And the saliva test really helped us hone in on that. Now, here's some foods that I know can help. And when you get your foods right, the bloating will subside. The belly fat starts to take care of itself. Excuse me. You help the detox pathways and metabolism, and then your hormones will balance. And that's what we want. Then your energy levels go up. And then you start feeling fabulous in your swimwear. Yay, we like that. So some foods to consider. And I love food. I'm a massive foodie. Plus, food is so important if you want to have a healthy body. That's is the secret to everything. Sorry, I'm trying to reduce that. There we go. I strongly would encourage to pull back on pastas, risottos, and maybe even sushi. So in those foods, lots of white starchy things, They're what we call calorie rich, but nutrient poor. You don't get a lot of things out of those foods. Now, risotto, sure, it might be gluten free, but do you really need 500 calories? If you've got a weight issue, maybe not. I have seen women, so I'm a bit of a, I love meat, and good quality hormone-free happy meats. But I have seen women during menopause reduce animal proteins and bring up their plant proteins. So your hemps, your spirulinas, flaxseed, chickpea patties, that sort of thing. And that's taken the burden off digestion, which has helped their hormones balance. So it's something to consider. I'm not a vegetarian. I'm not suggesting you become vegetarian. But while you're making this your number one project yourself, you might want to do that for a short time. Decreasing dairy, 100%. Today, right now, is the best time to stop having dairy. The only thing that can process dairy is a baby cow. Same with the baby goat. Should be having goat's milk, not us. We can get away with plant milks, but not animal milks. Puts a lot of strain on the small intestine, and that takes a lot of effort for our body to metabolize. Not a fan of sugar either, as great as it tastes. It has dire effects on our pancreas and our liver. And our liver, this is what we're trying to help during menopause, is our liver and our adrenals. Our liver for detoxing and taking the burden off it, but our adrenals so they can start bubbling along again and making those sex hormones. So eating market fresh vegetables will make a difference. And I know if you start going to the markets, you're going to increase your health by about 25% through better shopping. You can consider juicing, things like, you might do kale, some berries, half a banana. Herbal teas can be fantastic. Very useful in, just see if I come back to herbal teas. Yes, I do. I'll come up with some herbal teas in a minute. And salads that are just massive, colourful, all different things thrown in there, maybe a nice lean piece of fish, and 100% organic. We don't want to be putting pesticides and weedicides in your beautiful body while it tries to transition during this time. We want to help the body. So these are some chickpea patties. These are in my 8-week eating plans. And this is a broccoli soup. I don't know what I've done there with the red. It looks like everything's going to have a red strike. What have I done? Who knows? This is a broccoli soup, which sounds a bit, tastes amazing. So big chunk of broccoli, couple of cloves of garlic, cracked pepper if you like. You boil it with filtered water would be ideal. Blend it up and you can just drink it, and it helps your liver, which is what we're trying to do at the moment, is help the body. Right, I don't know. There's a red line. Don't know how to get rid of it. I've done that, no doubt. Anyway, sorry about all the lines. I do a hair test in the clinic as well, which just shows things like, the adrenal system needs some work, the hormone system, emotions, some foods to avoid, what the person might need down here, like vitamin D or iron. So I love the hair test. It's brilliant. I like doing the hormone test and the hair test together. Now, it covers off vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, amino acids, proteins, indicates what the gut's doing. It's really cool. So if you eat the key foods, you'll feel more motivated for sure. Your energy levels should go up, and happiness, that's a lot of things make us happy, not just our environment, but our folic acid, our B12, our tryptophan, our tyrosine, our phenylalanine. There's so many things that the body needs to achieve this. So you cannot skimp on healthy eating. Now, Sharnad, I've known for years. I'm very close with her sister. We've known each other for 40 odd years. Sharnad came to me, and she's in the industry. She helps women go through menopause as an exercise physiologist. And she thought that she would sail through because she was pretty healthy and very fit. But she became a bit unstuck. And it can happen just like that. So she became sleep deprived, sweaty, teary, exhausted mess. I love the way she expresses this. And she felt that she'd lost control of her mental health and physical health for the first time in her life. Menopause is a very distressing time for women, particularly if they don't know where to go for help. So this is her words, work I did with Sam helped me gradually shift my health back from feeling a bleak feeling of burnout. So we did use supplements, and I'll often use supplements short term to get the body back to where it needs to be. And then, hopefully with the changes in your lifestyle and balanced hormones, you can move forward with minimal support. And as Sharon had said, I feel grateful to be sitting here regaining her life force. Got questions, pop them in chat and I'll get back to them at the end there. So what are some exercises you could consider doing? I want to go through some exercises I want you to stop and some to increase. Now, exercise, and pop in chat actually, who finds exercise a dirty word? Who finds it something they feel negative about? Or do you enjoy it? How's everyone going with exercise? Just pop it in chat. Yeah, don't really like exercise. Thanks for your honesty because it's very common that people don't like exercise, whether it's because they're too tired or during school it was, painted out to be like punishment. Um, and I think it's a bit like food. It's a difficult one to shortchange, and it's so important to health outcomes that I think it's worthy of falling in love with it. Like falling in love with food. I mean, a lot of people don't like food either. They've learnt not to trust it. But if you can feel like the movement or adding it into something else you like, so tagging it onto, like yesterday, I went for a 2 hour bushwalk, something like that where you're outdoors, you don't feel like you're exercising is a really cool way to do it. So I tend to call exercise activities up or down activities. I know there's other names for it, but this kind of makes sense to most people. So up activities are things that require a lot of effort, grunting, sweating, dragging tires in boot camps. Now, guess what I want you to do with these? I want you to stop doing these sorts of activities um, up until your hormones are balanced. So boxing class, weightlifting, dragging tires, extreme sports, mud, wrestling, whatever it might be, too much for your adrenals if you are symptomatic in menopause. We want to do the down stuff. Now, remember, the whole aim of the game here is to help your adrenals transition and find that hormone balancing. So we want the testosterone to lift up, progesterone to lift up, and make sure that you're producing adequate hormones. So down activities are lower impact on the body. They don't siphon all the energy that you're trying to accumulate in your adrenals for those hormone manufacturing, keeps it nice and neutral. So down activities are things like walking, swimming, yoga, Pilates, bushwalking. They're funnish, they don't feel like you're going to a gym sweating out. Okay, let's look at some herbs. I'm a herbalist. I love herbs. Um, Actually, I need to swap these around because I say I love herbs, then I go straight to seeds. Let's go back to that. So herbs for me are Mother Nature's little gift to us. And historically, what I believe is that we've always, as women and village dwellers, grown patches of herbs that we've used as medicinals. So some really powerful ones to use during menopause are things like sage, thyme, parsley, rosemary, coriander, all of those can help balance hormones, and they help, they're like they help the liver and help with metabolizing and just the whole process of detoxification. Now, you can dry them out if you're growing your own. You can use them just fresh from the bush to cook, or you can dry them out in the sun, and then use them as a tea or cooking. There's plenty of ways, and I think often we're a bit too frugal with herbs. People might use a teaspoon. Use a half a cup of parsley. Don't be tight. Use it generously. Now here's some seeds. Flaxseed, superfood for me. Flaxseed very high in certain omegas, but also isoflavones, which can help modulate and balance estrogen. So a superfood, and nuts are great as well. You can sprinkle them on your veggies, steamed veggies. You can put them on a salad. Some people mill them, crush them down, and put them in a smoothie. So, excuse me. I've got this up here because I kind of giggle a bit when people go, "Oh no, the eggs aren't there anymore, so you're not making hormones." And some of these people are professionals, and I go, "Do you not remember your biochemistry?" So cholesterol gets turned to pregnenolone, and that's where we make progesterone as a byproduct, as well as testosterone, estradiol. So we make these hormones, and certain herbs will help with that. Now, this is new research, which I'm about to tell you. In order to go through that pathway I just showed you, it goes through what's called the mitochondria of the cell. Now, I don't want you to get too caught up on this because your average GP or naturopath probably doesn't remember this pathway. But it's the pregnenolone pathway. It goes through the mitochondria and needs a couple of things to get converted to progesterone. One of them is creatine monophosphate. Now, I don't like giving specific supplements on forums like this because I don't know your individual circumstance. My preference would be to have a consultation or do a saliva test with you because let's just say at the moment this is general information only and what the current research is showing. So creatine monophosphate, it's a great supplement, but you do also need to be mindful when you take it. So you've got to drink more water. You'll probably gain weight because what it does is help recruit water into the cells. There's a couple of ways, things you do need to know about it. But for sure, the research I'm reading up on it says it's good for memory, energy, and muscle improvement. General information only. These are my go-to supplements. General information only, please. Passiflora, gorgeous, calming down herb when people are getting a bit caught up in their own, spinning on the spot cycle. Ginseng's, there's multiple ginseng, so there's certain ones I like and don't use in women. Schisandra, chase tree, sometimes I use Ziziphus, Damiana. And from the mineral perspective, I mentioned tyrosine before because that helps the adrenals. It's an amino acid. Magnesium, you can never go wrong. Zinc, some of the vitamin Bs, B5, B6, and iron. So these are just common ones I use for women going through menopause. But depending on the person and usually what the hair test shows and how burnt out they are or not, will depict what I use. Now, Kelly came and saw me a while ago now, a few years ago, and she was very fit. She was, executive lady. These are her words anyway. My journey to health and wellness really started about 8 years ago. Like a lot of women in their 40s, I wanted to lose weight, not only to look better, but to feel better and have more energy to be a better wife, mother, and business professional. The problem was, after achieving this goal, I was still missing energy and vitality that I so desperately wanted. I was eating well, exercising, practicing mindfulness and yoga, but still something was missing. So you can see you don't need to be like Marie, who was really broken, to improve. This lady was actually very on it, but still menopause floored her a little bit. So we did saliva test and hair test, and it really just pinpointed what was going on. And it just took the guesswork out because remember, she was really healthy. So you don't want to over give people too many supplements or change their life too much. If all you've got to do is do those tests and go, right, this is out. So I now know that all those unpleasant side effects of middle age, hot flushes, mood swings, insomnia, and fatigue are fixable. My advice to any woman feeling that she deserves more physical well-being is to put your hand up. There is a better way of being. So this leads me into the mindset that I would love to impress upon everyone on here, everyone that you get to meet as well, that this is very doable and you were perfectly designed to do this naturally. So the most important part of all of this journey is understanding your body and your mind and how powerful they are. Knowledge is so empowering. Knowing your saliva test. I mean, if you knew that information right now, how would that change what you do tomorrow? The people today that I did their tests for, and we went through their results, they would tell you that it's motivating, that they're going to make changes, and not one of them said, "Oh, I wish I didn't do that." Everyone said, "Whoa, that's such good information to have." Remember, you got to do the right test. So, as I said, only saliva test. I don't think I showed you this one before. This is just to give you an idea how different everyone is. Like estrogen's a bit low there, so is the progesterone. Um, yeah, they're all different. So, with the mindset that I think will serve you well, knowing where you're at, like I say to people in my groups, if you want to, metaphor, if you want to sail from Sydney to Hawaii, you kind of need to know where Hawaii is on the map. Because if you just set sail and you think, oh, this will all be fabulous, and you jump in a yacht, you could end up in Japan, or you could end up, going the wrong direction. So I just think it saves time, get that baseline done. Then you need a plan. You need to know what things you're doing. You need to have a bit of a strategy, some supplements. You also, this is really important, you need to allocate time to yourself to do this transition. If you don't, you'll be like that, that little cartoon of that woman spinning on the spot. So I'm very, I think, I can give you permission for you to spend time on yourself, but you also need to give yourself permission to do this. And the more time you allocate, and even that means cutting back one day at work or making sure that you're not spread thin, will make a massive impact on you and how quickly you move through menopause. It can be a normal, quick transition. If you run down, if you're not paying attention to what you're eating, you're not going to the markets, you're running around, then you can suffer with these symptoms for years. So at the end of the day, the choice is yours. And I really appreciate how hard it is to find more time in the day. So often what I say to women, and I do hold retreats, is it's not about finding more time in the day, it's starting to say no to stuff. And that can be really tricky when you've had kids and been yes to the husband, yes to everyone else. It's time for you to say yes to you. So look at this normal progesterone. Just thought I'd show you that one does exist. But high cortisol, very high cortisol, this person was never going to lose weight with high cortisol. You can't lose weight with high cortisol, nor can you lose weight when your estrogen's that high. But look at the testosterone, so low. So low sex drive, but really wired and stressed, not going to lose weight. That's actually, this sort of picture is a very typical one of endometriosis. So if you know that anyone that's got endo, suggest they get a saliva test. Okay, so how's everyone going? Learned something so far? Hopefully, I've been showing you a lot of saliva tests and things, and how to change some foods, some herbs you can introduce, swapping the exercise around, even creatine monophosphate. So what I'd like to know is how likely you are to introduce some of the suggestions. Now, the reason I ask is because there are definitely two sorts of people. There are people who don't know what to do, or there's people who do know what to do, but they don't go and apply it. If you're serious about going through menopause, I want to show you something. I want to share with you something. Because in 60 minutes, I know I can't give you everything that you need. And I am very passionate about helping women pass through menopause really quickly because I know that it doesn't need to be long for starters. I don't like seeing people suffer. And if you don't do anything, what's going to change? Women will come back to me after 6 months when they haven't done anything. They go, I'm still here. In fact, I've gained 5 more kilos. I go, well, what did you think was going to happen? It's really important you take heed of the symptoms if you've got them and do something about it. I have put together this menopause special. I want to take you through it. There's a few elements to it, but I know this is for people who want to go through it in 6 weeks like I did. Now there's eating plans. So that's that strategy in the planning bit. There's the testing, which I've shown you what they look like, and you get some support from me and a strategy. So there's a fair bit to it. The eating plans. They're designed for busy women who, it's not like, I don't know if you've ever watched Jamie Oliver, but there's 20 ingredients. I get overwhelmed looking at it. These are recipes that the whole family can eat. So chicken and corn soup, Thai beef salad. They're not hard to make. Brown rice stir fry, and you can use leftovers. So these are recipes that the kids and I used to eat. If you've got someone who needs more carbs, you just give them more of the rice, that sort of thing. Like they're very malleable. They take the guesswork out. They're a fallback. Some people follow them, some don't. The ones who follow them to the letter lose weight, feel great. So the whole idea is they just take that, what am I going to cook tonight thing out of it. So they're there. You can look at them in the morning, go shopping during the day, or plan it out for the week. And yeah, the family will love them too. The whole idea I want to do is to teach you how exciting food is again. A lot of people lose their way with food. It also includes, I'll give you access to my Bolt as such, where I talk about stress hormones and sugar hormones and give you in little bite chunks more information, because once women understand their hormones, everything kind of goes, oh, that's why that happened. That's why that used to happen. And not only do we become good advocates for ourselves, but we can help those around us, like our children or our sisters, aunties, that sort of thing. And I do have a private Facebook group. Now, the second part to this is the testing, measuring your own saliva test and your own hair test. I absolutely love these two tests. I do have longer programs that go for 3 months and 6 months. And depending on what is going on for the person, sometimes I'll do different tests, like a heavy metal test or a gut test or a MTHFR test. It just depends. But generally, and in this special tonight, saliva test, hair test. And we can work out, that strategy I was saying. Where are you in relationship to the map? Where's Hawaii? How are we going to get you there? So really important stuff to know. Are you making too much estrogen? Are you not clearing it out? High estrogen is very much associated with breast cancer, ovarian cancer. If that comes up high, we need to drop it down. The hair test is great because it tells us about your base nutrients. Gives us an indication about what's happening in your gut as well. So it just takes all the guesswork out and just helps with us putting together a strategy just for you. I mean, this is these results, looking at them, and the testosterone really high. Never going to lose weight with high testosterone like that. This person possibly had polycystic ovary syndrome. Just because they went through menopause doesn't mean that it auto-regulates. So the hair test, multiple pages to it, lots of information. Brilliant. The third component is you and I get to catch up for 1 hour once we've got both of those test results back. So we do the results first. We do a saliva test that gets posted down in Melbourne. You get sent that out. And the hair test, depending, sometimes I'll get you to send it. Sometimes I'll post you a kit and it goes to a different location. But you get, when those results are worked back, we set up a 1 hour consultation. We go over it. So we discuss the results. I look at the supplements that you're already taking and say, yes, thumbs up. No, don't bother with that for now. We look at different lifestyle things that you might be able to introduce. I don't throw the kitchen sink at you because, the whole idea is we want you to be able to integrate the information. So it's very much a team effort in the strategy that we come up with. Now, just a summary then, you get those eating plans, we test your hormones, we test your hair, and a consultation and strategy call. Now it's 1997. I thought, so that's what it is on the website. And it's been like that for ages. 1st of March, it's going up. But that's, you've still got another week. But if you act tonight, If you purchase this tonight for yourself, I'm going to give you an additional 30-minute consultation. Now, what I'll do with this is get you on a call, find out where you're at, and this is the link here to order this. And that extra call, so you'll get a short call where I can just check in with you, see where you're going, because the results take, 2 to 3 weeks to get back. And I want to make sure during that time we've got some things started. Now, I'm just going to put that in chat. Can people jump on that click I've put in chat and just let me know if it works, please? So the idea is that we knock it over. We find out what's happening with your hormones. We work together over, 4 weeks. Ultimately, we'll start with a session straight away, see what low-hanging fruit we can introduce and implement for you right now. Order those tests. When they come back, set up for that 1 hour consultation and go through what we believe we need to navigate together so this just becomes a non-event. I mean, how cool would it be if you've got symptoms now that 2025 is the year you pass through menopause? In fact, the first half, and let's not make it the first half, let's make it the first quarter. Let's just do it quick. That's how I tend to roll, and that's what I want for everyone because life's too short. Can people just click on that in the chat, the link that I put through, and let me know if it works, please? And if you've got any questions, pop them in as well. So I'll stay on now for a little while to check the questions. Cool. Let me know if you've got questions coming through. That extra session is only available for tonight. So jump on that link that's in chat. You can, up until the 1st of October, sorry, 1st of March, it'll be at that other price, the 1997. You can order that from that website at any point. But if you order it tonight, I will definitely give you that extra 30-minute consultation with me. So are there any questions, ladies? Might have an early minute if there's not. Let me know if you've got any questions, anything you've always wanted to ask but too scared. So I do find it tricky with teen boys to not have so much meat protein. Can one have too much protein? Not really. It is tricky with teen boys, for sure. I mean, my son just turned 18 around at Christmas time, but they need lots of protein and they need lots of carbohydrates. It's really hard to keep up to them. They have hollow everything. I rarely see people over consuming protein. In fact, if anything, I see people not eating enough protein. So protein balances out our blood sugars. It's necessary for us to make tyrosin's important for our stress hormones. Tyrosin is accessed from turkey and other meats. So we do need meat in order to be able to have a balance. You can get some tyrosin from broad beans, so vegetarians can get it from there. But yeah, the problem in Australia with our eating is not too much protein. It's not enough. As a ballpark, 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram is what our body needs. So 1.5, so say for a lady who's, say she's 70 kilograms, 1.5 would be 105 grams of protein a day. And a little Scotch fillet's about 35 grams of protein. So it's 3 Scotch fillets over the day to get enough protein in. Now, the vegetarian side of it, which I was mentioning before going through menopause, the seeds, nuts, hemp seeds, spirulina, they're nearly as high in protein as meat sources. So that's why I mention them. Because I don't think dropping protein is the answer. I think just maybe pulling back on pork and beef while we're trying to ease the burden off the gut helps a lot. That's all. Any other question? No, we're all good. Alrighty. Well, there's no more questions. Thank you for being on. Remember, you're now my little disciples. Yes, go and put the children to bed. Go and do what you've got to do. Take action if you're interested, because you've got. Look, the biggest thing with women in menopause is they don't like spending money on themselves, etc. But honestly, my spin on that is, where are you going to be in 12 months if you don't? So we can't, and we're much better for people around us, not just ourselves. So give it some thought. If you need me, you know where to find me. And thank you all for being on. I really appreciated it. All right. See you later. Bye bye.